Welcome to day 2 of the LEC 2023 Winter Group Stage live from Berlin, Germany. After kicking off the best of 3 with Group A yesterday, we have 2 more exciting series in store for today as the action continues with Group B and the Mad Lions facing off against Astralis as we see the teams getting to the studio. Hi, Niski. And hi, Ender and Goldberg. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. I want to know how Hillesang was not just freezing to death right there. All he had was like a little world sweatshirt on. Bro. Everyone else has 4 jackets.
He's just born ready, you know, that's the mood he's into today.
Like
excited for the matches we have?
I mean, if they deliver as much as yesterday did, then yes, I'm incredibly excited for more best of 3s.
Maybe a bit more than the second series we had yesterday. And before recapping some of the action from the first day, I think we should celebrate something that we've all been waiting for so long. The cat is actually dead. Yumi, bye. You shall not be missed. Look at this. God. Beautiful.
Are you guys dog people or what? This is toxic.
No. I'm completely a cat person, but after like 30-something nerfs, Goldberg, I love it. Thank you. You opening the show like
I'm
this.
Gonna keep these around.
Look at this.
We'll celebrate some victories later.
Getting on my outfit. Go away.
You know.
No, but Ender, okay,
you
cat
today,
or dog person or not, did you really like the cat?
I didn't mind
This
it.
cat.
No, because I liked
You're
when
angry at the book, actually.
hear me out. I really liked when Mickey locked in the Nautilus and just murdered the cat over and over again.
See, that's
I liked when
want.
people figured out creative ways of killing it. But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, now we don't even get that. It's truly a tragedy.
See ya next time, you mean. Now that we got that out of the way, let's look at some picks which define yesterday's action. And I want to start by talking about Nautilus, the Mickey X special, I want to say, because he was one of the first players who brought back this champion. But he's been defining the drafts yesterday, GB.
Yeah, it most certainly was, but I think it was more comfort pick yesterday.
Yeah.
I think it looked better than it should have, specifically in this game as well, where Kaiser's kind of running into the hook as well, but it still really gave them a lot in the mid to late game where it made it easier to play when they started roaming out on the map as well.
Yeah, I think it does do a lot of really cool things, though. It makes the lane super volatile, right? Especially from level 1, we saw Mersa instantly burning a flash off of Neon's Caitlyn, and then all of a sudden that bot lane becomes really hard. If you miss position around your minions and you get hit by an early Nautilus hook, lane can end pretty quickly. I also think it provides great gank assist later on into the game as well, when you're trying to set up around different objectives, find picks, these types of things that you can't necessarily get from a double range support.
Yeah, and maybe giving some more flexibility when you want to think of draft structure, giving some more freedom on some topside picks. And in that sense, I want to mention Bo's Kindred. A solo queue special from him, but he got to flex the champion in the Rift yesterday. What makes Kindred special? And here I think we should focus maybe on the item changes and the crit item.
Yeah, because it was definitely Kindred's a pick that we had seen before. It's not like this is coming out of nowhere with the patch, but I do think the changes to Infinity Edge, allowing you to get it as a second item with the crit threshold going from 60 to 40%, makes a lot of sense, especially on a champ like Kindred in the jungle. Also for AD carries down on the bottom side of the map. All the ADs that in the past would like to go double AD items instead of going for a Zeal item as their second like to thrive. So a Caitlyn, a Sivir, these types of picks that can lock in their big crit item second instead of attack speed is really nice.
Yeah, especially when you already have a team that gets the early game going for you, you start stacking up the objectives, and then you reach the 20-minute mark. That's usually where, as a jungler, you finish your second item. So coming in with the IE there, it's just great for continuing the snowball, making it more efficient to go for some of these plays.
I'm just wondering about Kindred as a whole, because we don't see that many players picking this champion. Is it something we're going to see a bit more in this patch or in general, or do you think it's like a Bo or some players special?
I definitely think it has its position in the meta, and we have seen it as well before this patch as well, still be played a little bit by the likes of Yaya and Bo, of course. I think we have junglers that would like to continue playing the Lamb and the Wolf.
I also think when you're looking at different jungle champions on the opposite side, like Sejuani or Wukong, very healthy team fight oriented junglers with very heavy engage to start off a fight, the Kindred ult is such a good answer into the hard engage comps that a lot of our teams have started picking up.
Staying on the topic of junglers, Maokai, Big Tree, still 100% presence yesterday. people still like throwing saplings, and I think this champion stays strong still.
For me, it's also just, it's an easy champion to play. You cannot go wrong with it. It's very simple to pilot in a meta where Camps doesn't give as much as golden experience and there's more incentive to go for ganks. Well, then he just thrives. It's the same reason we see Sejuani, but Maokai just applies so much more, especially for the vision control as well.
100%. Like, because we see so many, range support bot lanes, I think that it's become much more dangerous to go and like get vision around the map, especially if you're not like grouping as 4 or 5 players trying to retake it. And the fact that you can chuck a sapling at huge range, clear a bush, and then walk in behind it just makes your life so much easier when you're trying to retake vision in Rever or go deeper into the enemy jungle.
We'll see what the new patch can bring, but not that many changes so far. Let's take a look at the bracket though to see what happened yesterday, because Vitality and Koi will be clashing tomorrow after winning their games yesterday for a spot in the winter bracket. I'm really hyped about this, and I think we had expectations about Koi ramping up in the regular season, but they delivered so much yesterday.
Oh yeah, specifically because Vitality was the rank 1 team from regular season, but one of the few teams that they actually did lose to was Koi, and now you get the rematch coming into it with Koi also looking so much better.
That's going to be so much fun. I also think it's really important to remind everyone that you only get 2 best of losses in this bracket, right? So Heretics and SK on death's door now. They have to win out from here on out, and that applies through BO3s and BO5s. You can't lose 2 of either.
Absolutely, and they will have one last chance next week facing off against each other. But let's focus on today's game as we're kicking off the action with Astralis facing off against the Mad Lions, and Trouble caught up with their man in the mid lane. Dejour, take it away.
Thank you very much, Laure and Dayer. Thank you so much for joining me prior to your first best of 3 ever in the LEC. And how are you feeling?
Yeah, feeling neutral, I would say. First time, best of 3, yeah, like you said. Hype for it. I don't know how I will perform. Like, I've never played best of 3, so yeah, let's see how it goes.
That must be so exciting, because a lot of people will backlash when I say it's Astralis' first best of in the LEC. But truth be told, after the rename from Origin to Astralis, it is the best of series for the entirety of the org as well. So how is the atmosphere behind the scenes?
The atmosphere behind the scenes, I think we are just happy that it's finally match day. Because yeah, it's rough, right? But yeah, like I said, really nice to be here in the studio now, and I think we are prepared.
Perfect. And talking about preparation, what have you prepared on? Not necessarily like picks or anything, but how have you evolved your playstyle? Because there was a lot of criticism coming from the first 3 weeks, now jumping into the best ofs.
Well, we just focused on what we are already like working on. There's like not anything new on it. We're just trying to get better. We still have a lot of problems, like as a lot of other teams do as well. And we're just trying to improve where improvement is needed, just in the basic concepts as well. And that's what we worked on.
I love it. Very vague. You didn't let me in on any secrets. Well, I guess we'll see them on the best of series. And now, talk specifically about mid lane. You posted a tweet, I think it was last week, where you said, "I'm never going to lose to Niski again."
Well, yeah, the game against Mid Lions, I have to say,
that was a game.
That was a game of League of Legends. I entered very hard, so I don't want to repeat it again today, and yeah, I think we have a chance. So yeah, I will not lose to Niski. That's all it is.
That's fair and square. We'll hold you to that. Now, when it comes to Mad, you guys are playing them today. What do you think is their strongest asset as a team that you guys have to overcome?
I would say they're pretty solid mid jungle. I think Niski is performing really well this split. So yeah, I think we will focus on mid jungle as well, and if we can take them down, then we have a good chance.
Oh, I can't wait to see the bloodbath 2 versus 2. Dayer, thank you so much for joining me. Good luck in your first best of series in the LEC. Laure, back to you and the guys on the desk.
Thank you so much, Trouble, and thank you, Dejour. It was interesting to see what kind of mood he's into, because as Trouble was saying, it's going to be his first best of series. You can feel the nerves in one way on the set of Dejour, but I think it makes sense facing off against a team like Mad Lions today.
you can feel the pressure of it, but you can also feel the fact that you can screw up one game and you have a chance to come back to it. I think the Team Heretics versus Vitality yesterday is a really good example of that, because Vitality came in, they completely stumped. Had that been a best of one, we would all said they're so good. But then the second game, they bounced back and they completely stumped Vitality. So for Astralis, I think there's room for mistakes.
Yeah, also for Astralis, like the odds have been stacked against them since 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, right.
Like
Since
it
they
was
joined
the
LEC,
miracle run,
yes.
exactly. It was the miracle run to get here in the first place. They have to go against Mad Lions first, who are an incredibly difficult opponent. This is a team that is used to coming in as the underdogs, and that is going to continue as long as they survive here in the group stage.
Let's talk a bit about Mad Lions then, because I'm still not over the fact that the players keep on saying we don't know how we got here. These results don't match the expectations we had coming into the split, and also the training we've been through. So what do we think of Mad Lions now? Where does the strength lie? I know that Daja was mentioning the jungle mid, but I also have my eyes on the bot lane, because we were expecting madness going on the bot lane when you look at Karzi and Hylissang, and they're actually super stable. And when you think of the coin flip side of things, we actually got the good side of the coin.
Yeah, so what do we think? We think Matt is freaking good. And I think you covered it really well. It's not just beyond, I mean, it's even beyond Niski and Elyoya together, because the bot lane has been incredible. And even every now and then, Chasey been stepping up on the top side. I think this is a team that doesn't necessarily have to rely on one way of playing the game. They have multiple ways to do it. And to me personally, that's what makes them so scary to play against.
It's really tough, because I think when you come into a matchup like this, mid jungle is where you almost have to keep your eyes, right? Elyoya and Niski have just been a powerhouse throughout. When Elyoya plays around mid, Niski is set up to win in such a fantastic way. The previous time these two teams faced off against each other as well, like Mad Lions just bullied Dayor. From the ganks from Elyoya's Sejuani to the roams from Hylissang's Thresh, like mid lane just felt unplayable for him. And on top of that, Niski is just playing out of his mind right now.
And that is the expectation today. Niski and Elyoya are better than 113 and Dayor, so there's really a lot of pressure on that Astralis mid jungle duo specifically, because not only are they going to try and match it, they may even try to elevate it at times.
The thing is, once Mad Lions get an edge with this mid jungle too, is they go out and they attack the opposite lanes as well. Like no matter how comfy you can be with Finn on the top side and the bot lane looking pretty solid from Astralis as well, if mid falls apart, the rest of the game will start to become unplayable for the sides.
And I think Finn, especially because you mentioned him, is going to be one of the central points here for Astralis. We saw that whether it's in communication, team atmosphere, but also in game, he's been one of the central points of this Astralis lineup. When you think about Gnar, GP, and every opportunity he's been able to unlock for the team.
I mean, his GP single-handedly started them on the run to even get here with this insane comeback win against SK. And yeah, some fantastic team fights on the carry champion was necessary to pull this one off. But then also in the next game they played, when he locked in the Gnar, his team fighting was so good, from looking for different angles to flank into the fight. So it's not a one-dimensional player, right? Him stacking up the Mega Gnar off Drake here to then engage on Fnatic, who were not expecting there to be a Mega Gnar coming over the Dragon Wall.
And that's why we see the best of Finn as well. It's in these scenarios where he's playing a champion that doesn't necessarily require resources, but can scale into the game, and he can make a difference, the small things that matter in the later game team fights.
Is it going to be enough though? Because we talked about the differences between players and matchup, talking about the mid jungle. So for me, Astralis is going to want to have a solid draft and some champions that they're going to be comfortable on.
Oh, for sure. I think if you're Astralis right now, you get Finn on the GP, you get Finn on the Gnar, you kind of have to bandage your mid-jungle here. I think you just put them on something that's easy to execute. I really liked when we saw Dayor on the rise and 113 on the likes of a Trundle or Sejuani instead. And then I think as Astralis, you have to bet on the fact that your bot lane can try and stand up to Karzi and Hylissang, because if you don't, well, you're just going to fall behind to Mad Lions, who, as you already mentioned, the mid lane will just completely overwhelm the rest of the map.
One thing they do need to be careful for is long-range engage options on the other side. I think that Astralis have sometimes been a little bit lax when it comes to being aware of when an enemy team can jump on them and attack them. Coming out of the fog of war, their positioning in lanes can be a little bit over at times. So against champions like Vi, Sejuani, a Thresh Hook from Hylissang before, that has given them trouble in the past, and they have to step up their game or they will get picked off by the Mad Lions roams.
Absolutely, you're going to have to be really careful about this. But coming as the underdogs once again, or the underestimated team, let's see what kind of chances they have. But enough for us here at the desk. Let's get into the action with your casters, videos, and Ocean for Mad Lions versus Astralis. Take it away, guys.